Hi friends, we're going to talk about everything to do in February to get you ready for a successful gardening year. February is when you're still in winter, yet you get hints of spring coming along. Just like, do you hear that? The birds. This is the second video in this series. Check out my January video right here in case you missed that one. Check out January's video because you can still do all of those things in February, especially if you're in zones 8 or lower. My average last frost date is March 9th, so everything is planned according to that. I'm going to talk about 3 categories: things you need to do to prepare, what to buy, and what to do in the garden. So now let's get started. Category number 1 is things to do. Now for the January recap. Remember I mentioned labor-intensive tasks. So if you haven't built your raised beds yet, this is the time to do it because you want this cool weather for that. I have 11 raised beds, so I know the work it takes. So the second thing is, if you already have your raised beds built, then now is the time to fill them. Pretty sure you already knew that, but just in case, you have to fill your raised beds. Number 2, don't forget about your compost. It's really important to have your own compost. It can get pretty pricey if you buy it yourself, so make sure you collect your scraps and start your pile soon. It takes a few months to get compost ready, so start now. These are my 2 compost bins that I recently added, and here's my compost pile. In case you're curious, this is what the other one looks like. And the last quick recap of January is to separate your seeds. Categorize them by when to sow. So by season, create your labels. You would be surprised. If you have a lot of seeds, it takes a while to create labels, and normally you need more than one per variety. I normally add seeds of different plants throughout the beds, so I need multiple labels just to make sure that I know what I put. Things particular to February. Mulch. A lot of seeds germinate the end of February, so you want to try to prevent some of that because you'll have a lot of weeds. Let me show you what happens after you mulch a lot. I'm coming over here to my orchard. So you need about 6 inches of mulch for the year. I'm going to show you here what happens after. So see, if I dig down here, I get to the bottom layer. So there's no real organic matter here. There's a lot of clay, a lot of sand. But what the mulch starts doing is decomposing and creating this fluffy soil that you really want. So besides protecting your trees, it is nutrients that are super beneficial. Since we're here in the orchard, February is the time to prune your fruit trees. Check out my latest video on how I prune my fruit trees. What you want to consider is dead branches, crossing branches that you don't want, anything that's rubbing, and really just cleaning it up and just pruning it to the height of your preference. Do you see my Eva's Pride peach and all her blooms? Well, when anything is blooming, you want to fertilize. So fertilize your fruiting trees that are starting to bloom. Here's my citrus over here that's also blooming. And what do you need to prune? Tools. So don't forget to buy your tools. And if you have tools, make sure you clean them. This is the perfect time to clean them, sharpen them, and getting them ready. A lot of people forget about their indoor plants. So this is the perfect time to repot them and fertilize, because once spring comes, you're probably not going to focus on them because you're going to have your spring garden to worry about. This is also the time to consider your annuals. Now, if you're going to add them to the raised bed, some pots, or even your landscape, it's always going to happen. Make sure you start your seeds indoors so you save on costs and you welcome the pollinators. If you purchased your soil amendments, this is the time to add them to your raised beds. This one is really important because it will help you from getting a little bit too stressed or overwhelmed. It's to develop your weekly schedule, your maintenance. One thing to do one day a week will help you from feeling overwhelmed. Pick a day to fertilize, one day of the week, what works best for you. I work full-time and the mornings is not ideal, or the afternoons, so I have to squeeze everything in the evenings. So one day I fertilize, one day turn the compost, one day work on your pests, so preventative measures, that's normally once a week, and one day to weed. So pull out all your weeds, look at all the seeds that have been germinated that don't belong, then you'll have a stressful free garden. And the last thing on this category, if you're planning on adding irrigation, or if you're like me that still likes to travel every now and then or be away from home over the weekend, during the summer you're going to need some type of irrigation. I installed a drip system and it really works wonders for me. There's a lot of things that you can add. Let me show you what I have. If I pull away the hay, you can see my drip system. I have a video on that I will link, but it wraps around, it circles in the middle and then wraps around the edge. In the back, this is where it connects to all the other beds, and then I have a shut valve here in case I don't want the drip system to be on for the individual beds. Now we're in category number 2, what to purchase. From my January recap, buy your seeds. Locally preferred, but don't forget your seeds. Buy your soil amendments, and that would be compost, worm castings. I actually just purchased my very first worm farm. I don't have the red wigglers yet, but they're in the mail, so I'm going to show you what that is pretty soon. I'm pretty excited. I will link it below in case you're interested. Your gardening pots, I like the bags. These are smart pots with handles. I really like these. I think this is a great way to start. And the best thing about it is you can move them around. And they provide really good aeration for the roots so the plants don't get root bounded. If you're starting seeds indoors, you're going to need a light system of some sort. If not, a window with the most sun. I will talk about indoor seeds pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. You're gonna need lights and trays or your containers. And don't forget about structures. So if you're going to do tomatoes, anything in the vines, you're gonna need some type of trellis. So it's either you create it yourself, perfect time to do it, or you purchase them. You don't want to wait until your plants need them, because more than likely you're not gonna find what you really like and you're going to have to settle. New for February, if you're gonna add fruit trees, this is really the last month that you can purchase them online, only because a lot of them are gonna be out of stock if you wait past February. If you go to your local nursery, you will find a lot of varieties, but maybe not the ones you want. So if you're trying to be selective, purchase your fruit trees really soon. I purchased all of my fruiting trees Dormant from groworganic.com. Citrus you might want to buy locally, and again, this is the time to buy them. But just be careful because they are not frost tolerant. But if you buy them early, then you'll have the ones you want, and all you have to do is just protect them from frost. And for your garden, don't forget to purchase your potato seeds. These run out pretty quickly. So the moment that your local garden center or they have them online restocked, buy them, set your notification. It's really hard to get potato seeds, so catch them early. I received mine very late last year and it was a total fail. So get them on time. Now we're in category number 3, what to do in the garden. Most of it is going to be for indoors. So if you're growing indoor seeds, this is going to apply more to you, but we do have some outdoor sowing. I'm going to split this in 3 stages. early February, mid-February, and late February. Early February is anything between 4 to 5 weeks before your last frost date. I'm saying February because remember, mine is March 9th, so that lands about early February. We're going to sow indoors cauliflower, nasturtiums, Asian green, and for outdoors, your root crops, beets, kohlrabi. You can do carrots. Carrots I have more towards mid-February, so if you want to spread things out, this is the best way to do it. Once we're in mid-February, it's gonna get a little bit more interesting. Indoor sowing, cucumber, calendulas, marigold, watermelon, broccoli, zinnia, kale, and herbs. And you can sow carrots outdoors. Mid-February is going to be anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks before last frost. Make sure you set in your calendar or come back and reference this video as much as you need. Late February is anything between 2 to 3 weeks before last frost. Indoors we have squash, and outdoors we have lettuce. That's it. Now we're at the end of February and it's time to look at your indoor seeds. What has outgrown its pot? Because you need to transfer it into a larger pot. Make sure you have room for that. If not, your plants are going to root bound and they're not going to grow until they have the space. A 3-inch container is a good bump up. And you also want to start introducing them to the outdoors. So you have to harden them off, meaning they have to adjust. You've been keeping them cooped up inside in the perfect conditions. Now they have to transition over to the wind for the strong sun, to your garden beds. So you have to do it gradually in the mornings or in the evenings. Take them out for a couple hours and then bring them back in, and do that for a few days and then extend that period over some time. So after a few days, leave them out for a couple more hours until they can get used to an entire day outside without looking like they are being affected. For me, because my last frost date is March 9th, that will give me about a week and a half to 2 weeks to do that, transitioning them over to the outdoors. Now I really want to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed. I've reached 3,000 friends here on YouTube, and you wouldn't believe how excited I was when I found out. So thank you so much. Thank you for those that have been watching me from the very beginning. I sincerely appreciate you, because I look back at those videos and I'm like, oh my god. I am learning, I am growing, and you have been there with me. So I really applaud you for doing that. Some of those videos are terrible. Anyways, so thank you so much. I hope that this was helpful and that you stick around for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. It's February. Doesn't it call for a new dance? I might just do that really often here. I might just do that at the end of every series, just for those of you that stay till the end. That was lame.